Hello there and welcome to this short little video about debugging with Chrome Dev Tools. So what we're going to be doing today is working through this little tutorial on the Google website. It's Get Started with Debugging in JavaScript in Chrome Dev Tools. Obviously makes sense, and it talks you through a bunch of steps to debug this little website that we've got here. Now if you click on Open Demo, it will pull up this website for you. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to open it in incognito, and that is just because in regular Chrome I've got some extensions that do interfere with some stuff that we're going to be coming on to. So debugging, it's helpful to do it in incognito just to make sure that everything that you're using works as expected. But this is the website and I will show you what it is doing. So if we stick a couple of numbers in there, so we've got number 1 and number 6, then this button says add number 1 and 2. Obviously you'd expect the result to be 7, but what it is actually giving you is the result of 16. You may already have an idea as to what's causing the issue, and if I swap it out to this, that really should probably give you some hints as to what the issue is. But we'll follow through the tutorial. We'll swap it back to that. Now, what you want to do is open the development tools. There are a few different ways of doing it. You can either press Control-Shift-I on Windows and Linux. It's Command-Option-I on Mac. You can also press F12 on some devices. But additionally, if you press the three dots up there and go to More Tools and Developer Tools, and it will load you up a little window here. So I'll have a quick talk about what it is first of all, these development tools. On Elements, you get basically an overview of the structure of the page that you're on, and you can see when I'm hovering over the different elements, it actually highlights the different parts. And it's really helpful because what you can actually see is over here on the Styles tab, you can see what CSS is given, and you can see what CSS has been given to specific attributes as well. So you can see the different bits have different stylings. You can also see the margin, border and padding that's been applied to various attributes on the page. It's interesting. Console is, as you'd expect, console, and we're going to be coming on to that. But the most of what we're going to be doing is looking in the Sources tab. So this has 3 different panes. The first one shows you everything that is loaded on the page to render it. So obviously we've got the actual web page itself, but most importantly we've got getstarted.js. So this is a JavaScript file. Obviously this is what's working behind the scenes to make it do what it's doing. So this is the JavaScript file, and you can see there's a couple of different functions in there, some variables down here, and then there is an event listener here, which is listening for a click, and when you click this button, it's executing and running the onClick function, which is up here. So we know that we've got an issue. There are a few different ways of looking for it. Obviously, there is the console log option, which you could use to do this, and then when you run it and click on the button, obviously it's going to console log the result of this, which is interesting. So you can stick in a console log, and let's have it say addend1 as a string, and then on the end of that we want it to actually stick in the variable addend1, and we'll do that on these 3 lines here. And then when we click the button, we'll get some console logs giving us some information. So you can save that, and this is what's brilliant about the DevTools, is you can actually edit the script right on there. Doesn't affect the live web page, obviously you're not updating the master site, but you're just editing what you're viewing locally. On refresh, it'll undo all your changes, but you can put the edits in, go into console, and now when I press the button, it says addend1 is 6, addend2 is 1, but the sum is still 61, and you can see it's just putting the numbers side by side. But console logging only gives you half of the story. And this is where we get a bit more information. So you've got on this side the event listener breakpoints, and using this is hopefully going to be able to drill down a little bit more into it. It gives you all sorts of event listeners that you can scrutinize. We want a mouse action listener, and we want the click. So basically we want when a mouse clicks on an item, we want it to fire off a breakpoint. And what a breakpoint is it means it stops the code when that happens. So if we click on this button, you see that it runs into... This isn't where the breakpoint should be. So if we refresh the page, stick in a couple of numbers, 5 and 6, add the numbers, and when you click the button, it stops just as it's about to run the on-click events. Obviously, this button's told it on a click, run this function, and it's gone up to the function, but it hasn't executed anything yet. And you can see that the first stage of this function is an if statement, and it's basically checking if the inputs are empty. If the inputs are empty, it will give us an error log and then return. So that means it'll come out, that'll be the end of the function. But if that does not resolve to true, i.e. there are some numbers in there, then it will run the update label function, which is this one here, which is where it gets the number, gets the second number, adds them together, and then gives us the return that we're expecting. And what you can do is, for every breakpoint you've got, if you press next, it will run to each breakpoint in a row. So say, for example, we put some breakpoints in there, which is another way to get them in. If we run the function and then press that, you're basically stepping to each breakpoint that you've got, which is very helpful. But let's take a little bit more information on this. So you can also press step over, so it'll run to the next step that it's going to run. So that's a way to step through the function. And you can see that because this is resolved to true, it's not executing that part of the code. So it's now going to run update label. And then the next step in it is obviously to come out of the function, because all we're interested in is this click function. So it's telling you that, as a rule, it's the update label that is probably the issue. And really, you can see that that is where we're getting the issue. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick in a breakpoint here. So that when we run the code again, it's going to stick in a breakpoint here. So it's going to stop on this line. And it's this information that we know is giving us the issues, or we suspect is giving us the issues. So if we run the code again, and let's refresh, stick in a couple of different numbers, 3 and 6, and when we run it again, it stopped at here. And now what I want to look at is the scope tab. And what the scope does is it tells us the values of various bits and bobs on that line. So we can see on this line we've got addend 1, addend 2, and sum, and it tells us what each of those are. And this is a lot more insightful than the console. So on the console it was showing addend 1, 3. This is showing addend 1, 3, and 6, and 36 all in quotes. And what that means, or what that's suggesting to me, is that these are strings rather than numbers. Because they are in quotes. Quite important issue, because if these are strings, then when you are adding them together, it is just concatenating them rather than actually adding the values together. But we want to confirm that. So if we come up to this tab up here that says watch, if we add a watch, you can use a function called, or a keyword element called type of, and if we put in addend 1, it tells us that it's a string, so that's good. And let's just add 1 for each of them. Addend 2 is a string as well, and unsurprisingly sum is also a string. So we need to fix that. So we've identified what our issue is now, but we need to fix it. So we need these to be numbers, not strings, in order to add them together. And the console gives you a really good opportunity to do that. It gives you the opportunity to play around with the various details that you've got on the page. So if we go addend 1, Actually, let's do it at the breakpoint. So we've got the thing. If we pop in addend1, you can see that it's coming up with the value of 3. Similarly, if we put in sum, it's returning the string of 36. What we can use to turn an input into a number is the parseInt. And what parseInt does is it takes a value in the parentheses there and it returns it as an integer if it can. There are other ones, so there's, for example, parseFloat. And what that would do is take a value and turn it into a float. So, for example, if we have addend1 in there and return it, it will return it as 3. But if, for example, we had this as 3.21 and run parseFloat in it again, you'll see that it's showing it as there. But we want this as a whole number. And now if we put the same value in, it's giving us 3. That's because we want to add integers together. Obviously, you can use it to add floats together as well if you want, but that is not what we're wanting to do for this. So let's change that back to a 3, run it, and go back into the console. So, yeah, parseInt is getting us 3. So it suggests to me then that we just need to convert addend1 and addend2 into integers. So if we do that and then also do parseInt addend2, and now it's giving us 9, that's the result that we're expecting. So we're passing in 3 and 6, and we want the result to be 9. So this is the script that looks like it's going to get us what we need. So we can go back to sources, and it's this sum line that's we've effectively just imitated. So if we save that and come out of the debugger, we'll temporarily deactivate it because we just want it to run as normal, and we'll stick in some new numbers, so 2 and 9. So we're expecting this now to resolve to 11, and it is. Those are the numbers that we're expecting, and interestingly, because we've got parseInt in there, as I demonstrated earlier, it will now not accept the text values. Obviously, these are just returning the strings that are in there, but this, it can't get a result. It's an undefined result because these can't be resolved to integers. But if we put any set of numbers in there, we're going to get the sum of them in there. And that is everything sorted. So we can remove that breakpoint, and then you would update this on your code, re-upload it, and then you would have a functioning website. So thank you very much for watching. It was a quick video on debugging using Chrome DevTools. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, do leave a like, it helps out the channel. But otherwise, that's it from me, and I'll catch you in the next one.